How's it going, everyone? Today we're gonna go ahead and rate every single cast member in Singles Inferno Season 2 from worst to best, you guys. So let's go ahead and get right to it. Alright, starting from the very bottom, and let me just go ahead and preface this by saying anyone that's on the bottom, especially if you're number 12, doesn't mean you're a bad person or I hate you or I even dislike you. I think all these people are probably really great people in real life, outside of this Singles Inferno. And even in Singles Inferno, I don't think anyone's really bad or anything. No one like fought anyone or really talked bad about anyone or did anything super devious. But we have to put someone on the bottom, right? So I'm gonna start off and put Dong Woo as number 12, the least favorite person in my opinion, just because of kind of all the things he didn't really recognize and see when he first went into Paradise with Sulky. You know, she was kind of pushing him away, obviously, and he just for some reason, was in one ear, out the other. He kind of like started daydreaming, I feel like, during the date, and he just never listened to what she was trying to say with her body language, and sometimes even like when she like explicitly told him something, he just like refused to accept it. And maybe it's just kind of like more of him never really having to deal with rejection. So he was kind of trying to cope with it in his own way by trying to deny the truth. Um, and then even when they came back from Paradise, I felt like he was just constantly on her case, still trying to go after her, even though she kind of had that awkward ass conversation with her, with them in the cafeteria during that one scene where she flat out told him, "I want to see you as a friend. I think outside in the outside world we can be really great friends. Oppa, you should definitely go and pursue other women while you're here." And he pretty much doesn't do anything. I know he spent like one night with Nadine, but he really kind of didn't really see her as much, aside from a friend either. All right, now we move on to number 11, you guys. 11, I will have to unfortunately put my girl Minsu there, which I feel so bad putting her on there so low because she had like the worst probability of actually dating and really talking to people during out the entire show just because she came in at the very last minute. I think she was introduced in like episode 4 or 5 or something like that. So like halfway into like the entire season, and then now everyone's already kind of hooked up with someone, or in terms of like just talking with each other. That is. So she comes in and instantly has an attraction of Jin Young, which I don't blame her because literally everyone and their moms have had a crush on Jin Young at some point throughout the season. But she just does not see the clues after the very first night in Paradise they spend together. It just seems like he didn't have that much of a connection. I know they were in a very nice, like weird looking pool, which looks like the dining hall somewhere. They look like they were on the boat of the Titanic after it hit the iceberg already. But she just didn't see the clues. She came back to Paradise, or she came back to Inferno, excuse me, and she just goes and picks him again, completely cock blocking my girl Nadine in the process. For the second time, remember the first time when Nadine was talking to Jin Young and then she just goes in and like butts in trying to make it into a menage, and then like I don't know, man, like I feel like she just doesn't see the clues, and she's also kind of like a little aggressive, a little too aggressive for me. So I'm gonna put her on number 11. All right, so number 10 is going to surprise a lot of you guys because a lot of you guys might have my number 10 as your number 1. So, but for me, this person was like actually pretty high at the very start of the episode, start of the season. I thought this person was great. I thought he was really charming, and he really made a really strong effort to kind of meet and be nice around every single person. But Young Jae at number 10, you guys. How my main man has fallen throughout the entire season. I think at the start, he was just like a really nice guy. Like, didn't really speak a whole lot, but I thought whenever he did, he was like really charming and was really quick to the point, but also seemed very considerate, especially of Zoe, who obviously had a very strong interest in him. They had a lot of deep conversations. I thought he kind of made the time to kind of speak to her and be kind and not say too much. And I think that actually kind of went and backfired on him, like really badly at the very end, because he, for the last like 4 or 5 episodes, he pretty much like ghosted her, didn't want to make eye contact with her, didn't want to breathe the same air as her. And I'm like, dude, like just chill. She already kind of told him that it's cool, man. We can just be friends. But like he kind of made things like so awkward around those two that it kind of affected Zoe's experience. I felt at Inferno the entire time. Thankfully, Sejun was there to kind of help pick up the pieces, but and Hanbin was there to kind of help out as well. And then I don't know, Youngjae kind of just dropped the ball. I felt I know he really likes Seung, and I'm so happy that he ended up with her, but I thought he could have been a little more considerate with the Sohee situation. Just kind of say hi, like good morning. Thankfully, he kind of saved face just a little bit at the very end when he shook her hand, remember, on the beach as they were kind of picking who they want to be with. So he pretty much had a choice. I mean, he had no choice, really, like, aside from doing that. Right now, everyone has to shake hands whenever someone fails at something. After, say, Moon Se-hoon did it to Minji in season 1. And at number 9 now. So, number 9 was tough, you guys. I had to move some people around to figure out my number 9. And at the very end, I had to go ahead and sacrifice my girl, Park Se-jong. It's hard because I know she was the only cast member in either seasons to not ever make it to Paradise, and I feel so bad putting her so low. But there were just so many other great people I had to put ahead of her. My only gripe, and this is the only thing I have to say about Park Se-jong, is that I felt like she kind of made a stronger effort in talking to all the guys. I felt like she kind of talked to Youngjae at the very beginning, you know, with the splinter thing, and then she picked him, but he didn't pick her, and then after that, she kind of just completely gave up. And then Jin came along, and she liked him, and then she kind of like had some conversations with her, but you just could tell that she wasn't putting up the same amount of effort as Sulky, as Minsu, as Nadine. She was kind of like, I'll talk to you once and try to make my first impression the best impression, and then that didn't work, and then she was kind of just sitting there not really doing a whole lot. I think she kind of just talked to the other girls a little too much. Like every single time I saw her, she was really just in the other girls' tent, right? So Park Se-jong, one thing I really like about Park Se-jong throughout the entire season was how much she comforted Sohee while she was going through that whole Youngjae experience that we just talked about. So Park Se-jong was like a great, like almost mother figure for everyone that stayed back in Inferno while everyone else went to Paradise. So I applaud her for that, and I really wish I could move her higher. But hopefully for reasons you will soon see, I couldn't move my girl any higher. So at number 9, she stays for now. Okay, you guys, number 8. So number 8, I have Sulky at number 8. And that would be a little bit weird just because I know how much screen time she had. She had probably more screen time than anyone on any of the seasons, any episode. She's always there front and center because there's so many guys out there, right there. I think there was like Jin Young, Dongwoo, Jongwoo, and then yeah, that was it. But 3 guys already after her. She made it to I think Paradise like literally every single time she could make it to Paradise if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think so. And she also never won or even came close to winning any of the challenges. So that's kind of like the only reason I can think of that I had to keep Sulky down a little bit, because it didn't seem like she even was trying that hard. I know she's like physically she wasn't as like strong as like maybe like Seung or Nadine. You know, it just seemed like she wasn't really trying as hard as she claims to be. But I will say that she did a great job of making sure all the guys had a chance. She never said, no, I don't want to talk to you. No, I'm already settled on this guy, on that guy. She gave everyone a chance. And she gave my boy Jong-woo a chance. And then look at where they ended up, right? So I'm going to put her at number 8. I could definitely move her up a bit as well. But I'm going to keep her at 8 for now. And then number 7. So number 7, we're pretty much at the halfway point, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and pick this moment to slide my girl Seyoon in here. And this one was really tough because I like Seyoon as a person, definitely. I think she made everyone so comfortable. If you guys watch that post season like debrief where all the cast members got together and kind of looked and watched some of the scenes that they had at Singles Inferno for the first time, she was like the host of the women's section. So that kind of just shows you how much she was like a mother figure, how much she was kind of like making sure everyone felt comfortable. I think at one point during her intro, she said something about like how she's really good at making people feel accepted and comfortable, and she definitely showed it throughout the entire season, guys and girls. Whenever she was in Inferno, she made sure everyone was involved and had a good time. So she's definitely someone that's more of a trip planner. But at the same time, I'm gonna keep her at 7. I don't think 7 is too high or too low. She didn't really pursue anyone aside from Jong the entire season, so I don't blame her. You know, if you're happy with someone, that person likes you, why would you, right? So I'm gonna keep her at 7, and I think 7's a good spot. And then number 6, you guys. So 6 is really tough because once we get to the top 6, I like all 6 people a lot, you guys. 1 through 6, all of them could easily, you can move them around, you can juggle them around randomly, and no one would argue with that list. At least I definitely wouldn't. So I had to put someone in number 6, and I'm gonna go ahead and put Nadine at number 6, you guys. And the reason why I did that was I felt she just wasn't like trying hard enough the entire season. I know she's like, you know, probably a little more introverted in real life. And she even noted that when she first talked to Dong-woo for the very first time, it was like the first time ever she's ever talked to another male. Well, I don't know if that's true, but she said it's the first time that she's ever talked to someone about like her feelings one-on-one and asked to talk to them and initiated it. So I do applaud her for kind of getting out of her comfort zone. She was a little slow doing that. So I did ding her a couple of points because the first couple of episodes she was like not even like acknowledging the existence of anyone else on the beach aside from maybe Dong-woo a little bit here and there. And I do know that, you know, I think she even mentioned it, like English was probably her preferred language and Korean is probably like her secondary language. So there could be like a slight, just a little bit of a language barrier there. So, but overall Nadine really captured my attention throughout the rest of the season. I thought she tried really hard to try to get Jin Young. So I really applauded the heck out of that. I really wanted her to end up with Jin Young. I think those two actually make the most sense to me. The age difference isn't too bad. I think it's like, I think he's 28 and she's 22. So that's what I really was hoping for. And she did everything. She literally did everything she could the last couple of episodes. So she was a finisher. So I applaud her for that. And I think number 6 is not that low of a spot anyways. And then we're off to number 5 now. Number 5 was really tough for me as well. I'm gonna go ahead and put my main man Sejun on there. Sejun, I would say like after the first episode of seeing Sejun, I was convinced that he was gonna be like a number 12. The only reason is because he was like, I don't know, it was just like he was not really engaging with any of the cast members aside from maybe a little bit with Minsu at the very beginning when they were cooking. But he seemed very standoffish, like almost like a little self-centered. I know like appearance-wise, he looked very like a, I don't know, he just looks like unearthly, is that the right word? Like he almost looks like an alien in a way in terms of good appearance. Like he almost like took the best quality of every single man and just like plastered it on his face. So I thought he was like gonna be like really stuck up and like very hard to get to know and super cold. But then like it didn't take long after like maybe the first episode that we started to see like some of his like humorous side, and he's one of those guys that are like really funny but like doesn't even know that he's being funny, he's just being himself. So he was just like constantly like making everyone crack up, and they even acknowledged it during that post season episode where they reviewed their own scenes that, you know, he wasn't there but everyone was saying that he was like someone that everyone loved, and he's like constantly like surprising everyone with how witty he was. You know, with the way that he got tossed out of that pit and, you know, all the funny stuff he was saying. I think he was almost like an instigator in a way too, with trying to get Sulky to admit how much she felt about Jong-woo in front of Jong-woo. He was almost kind of like a fan member that happened to sneak onto the show and then trying to push some of these people towards the right person. So and also I liked how caring he was towards Zoe during the helicopter ride when he could tell that she was a little uncomfortable, whether it was air sickness or just whatever. And he went in and held her hand. I thought that was really sweet. So Sejun gets a top 5 pick for me. And then number 4, you guys. So if you guys have been keeping track, you would know that I've already listed out every single woman except for one. And that one is of course Zoe. So Zoe, I love the fact that she came onto the show, found someone she liked, pursued him, let it be known that she liked him. And she just did everything she possibly could to get him. And she just didn't end up with him. And I don't, you know, you can't blame a girl for trying. So I was really impressed because when I first saw her, I thought she would be like a super quiet type. but she was like really actually energetic and positive throughout the entire episode. Even after all the times that Yongjae had to like friend zone her, like she was always still positive around every single person. Never made anyone feel uncomfortable. Never tried to like split anyone up. Never like really like had any negative energy. She didn't bring the crowd down at all. I thought she just did a great job of maintaining a composure. And I think she mentioned at some point that she was like in theater or something, because we definitely saw her acting skills on display. And I know some people on YouTube I've noticed, and I kind of agree, that she does have this weird like smile, or she kind of like smiles and then she like gives you like the evil grin. Like she kind of does that a lot to like Jongjae and like everyone else, especially when she knows there's like awkward tension in the air. So I wouldn't even call that a negative. I thought that was like funny as hell. So Zoe gets number 4 for me. So I think that's a good spot for her. And then who are in the top 3, you guys? So I'm gonna go ahead and put Hanbin number 3 now. Hanbin was kind of like a male Zoe in a way, except he wasn't as aggressive with pursuing Seiyum. But I think overall he did everything he possibly could. I think Seiyum had just made up her mind, and you know, Hanbin, the only downside about him is that he probably could have pursued some of the other women on the show, like Minsu or even Zoe, if he really felt like he had some connection with her. Honestly, to me, I thought him and Zoe should have gotten together based off how well they clicked, and also in terms of age. Because Hanbin was like, I think, the youngest guy on the show, and I know a lot of women in Korea prefer to date men that are older than them, and you know, not just Korea, but like in any other culture as well. They prefer kind of older men. So I think as soon as Seiyum found out he was 24 and she was, I think, 28 or something like that, she kind of just got instantly turned off and said, no, sorry, can't do it, sorry pal. And I felt sorry for Hanbin, because aside from that, like Hanbin was like pretty much like rock solid throughout the entire episode. No controversy, no drama, never made anyone feel uncomfortable. He constantly helped Zoe out throughout the entire season to try to see if she had any chance at Yongjae. I know during any of the fights or like the challenges, he was never like teaming up on anyone really. He was kind of just like by himself. So I think Hanbin hopefully ends up with someone he really likes. I know he's been in other dating shows too. I saw him on another dating show. So I know he's definitely going to be getting someone soon. And then we get down to the last 2 people, you guys. Jin Young and Jong Woo. Who am I going to pick, you guys? Remember that very last scene of the last episode where Jin Young is saying how Jong Woo has defeated me in the pit game, he's defeated me in the love game. Well, sorry, Jin Young, he's gonna beat you in this game too, because you're number 2, Jin Young. Because I would say Jin Young did nothing wrong. Similar to Hanbin, similar to all the great things that Zoe did, he really did not make anyone feel bad, or I don't think he really made anyone kind of like angry at him for anything. He didn't really pick sides when it came to the guys. He was kind of just trying to be himself around everyone. He obviously wanted Sophie. I can't blame him. Even though, in my opinion, the only thing I can say about Jin Young is that he probably should have given Nadine more of a chance, because I feel like those two have way more chemistry. However, with that said, just because 2 people have chemistry doesn't mean they shouldn't have to date, right? Because Zoe and Hanbin had chemistry, but it was like a friendship chemistry. So Nadine and Jin Young might have had the similar chemistry. We just don't know. But Jin Young did at one point say that he was debating between 2 girls. The other one probably has to be Nadine, because he didn't really even acknowledge anyone else when he was kind of like headed back to Sulky at the very last deliberation. So it had to be Nadine. The only thing I kind of wish he didn't do was he spent way too long teasing Nadine at the end. Like, he just stood there, facing the same direction as she was, and they were kind of like, oh man, this is it, right? Like, and he just stood there and just had like a 10-minute conversation with her, and just kind of totally teased her the entire time. And I thought he could have cut it a little bit short. You gotta do one of those like Shihoons that he did with My Poor Girl in season 1, and just like talk to her, for a second, and then walk away. Like, that's what he had to do, but he stayed way too long. So for that reason, no, not just that reason, I'm gonna keep Jin Young at number 2. And then the sole number 1 winner, my favorite, on the show is Jong, and I've liked Jong since the beginning. You know, he didn't get a ton of screen time, let's face it, in the first, gosh, like probably 4 episodes, I want to say. He didn't, no one really saw much of him because he wasn't really winning challenges. No one was picking him for Inferno. And he was really quiet type, in my opinion. Just kind of like shy, quiet to himself, but nice guy overall. I think the host really gave him a hard time because he was constantly like inactive. Like you could tell that he kind of like sulky, but he was just sitting there with the pepper grinder or just constantly like letting Dongwoo and Sulky talk while he was just kind of off to the side with the water. It's just like he was just like always in the background, kind of like the nice guy. And he just never made a move until I think middle of the season when he started talking to Sulky, giving her that book to read, and then ultimately, you know, having the full-on conversation with her. And I think, you know, the best thing that ever happened to him was Minsu, because Minsu took Jin Young away for 2 whole nights. So that gave him a chance, especially that one night where they finally talked in the tent, and then she finally said, oh, I want to, you know, take someone to paradise that's not named Jin Young or not named Dongwoo. And then at that point, by process of elimination, you know, Jongwoo knew it was him, and then he promised her that he would win in the pit. And then even though he was fighting like literally every single person in the pit, I remember Dongwoo was going after him at the start, and then Youngjae, I don't remember if I mentioned this when I was picking Youngjae as number 10 or 11, I forget where I put him, number 10 I think. And then Youngjae even sided with Jin Young, and then he was fighting 2-on-1 at the end, but he made that promise to Sulky that he would win the challenge no matter what, and then he did. He did, you guys, and he ultimately won, took her, and then they both had a great night in paradise. He was telling her how, like, you know, him and his parents were running that sweet corn coffee shop, and, you know, and then she invited him to her graduation, and at that point, in my opinion, I thought it was done, you guys. So there you go, you guys, my 12 ranking from worst to best on season 2 of Singles Inferno. So let me know what you guys think, and have a great day. Bye bye now.
기다릴게 바라볼게